Well, kia ora and welcome back to another episode of Mind Your Buzzness. I'm Andy G and this is Ash. And Ash is not only just a good mate, but he's also a fellow firefighter. He's also a colleague as well. We work in the same place, but also on top of that too, disc golfer. We've got so much in common, it's mad. But anyway, Ash is also an insanely good beekeeper with many years' experience. What is your experience in beekeeping?
It actually started back in probably intermediate and heading into high school when very close friend and neighbour of mine who was a beekeeper at the time owned dirt bikes, and I said, well, hey, I'd quite like to learn dirt bikes, and he said, will you do something for me and I'll take you for a ride, and started building frames, and from there I was wiring frames, putting foundation and building, painting boxes, and then out on the truck. So beekeeping goes right back to my childhood.
Right, yeah, so you got heaps of hives. You got some at home, but you got heaps in Otago as well. Primarily, what type of honey are you getting from those hives down there?
I moved them. They have temporary sites, so the first half of the season, the spring and leading into summer, I'll go for thyme up in the hills of Alexandra in central Otago, and then sort of December time I'll move them out to the Maniatoto region and go for white clover.
Is it quite easy to move them though?
Yeah, it's sort of a yes and no. It's physically demanding, picking up hives and shifting them. I've got 42 down there as well, so it's quite a large truckload full. And so that just means picking them up in the evening, driving out first thing in the morning and dropping them off. So it sounds kind of simple, it's just a bit of physical labour. Yeah,
42 is a bit more than my one.
But
you got to start somewhere. Now, you just did a harvest recently, eh? How much did you get out of that?
So my December time harvest was a little over 1.7 tonne.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So it's 5 and a bit barrels.
Yeah.
Drums, yeah.
How good. But anyway, Ash is here today because he's been my mentor and he's someone I can rely on for a bit of advice, etc. This is the first time he's come to see my hive since I launched it about 3.5 months ago, because Ash has supplied me with the nuke to get started.
Right.
So going to check over the hive. You want to have a look at the honey sleepers, to see if there's any burr comb, etc.
Yep. It'll just be sort of, we'll have a look and see how they're building out the comb, maybe rearrange some frames or take off some bad comb, and we'll just have a look through the brood and check for patterns, and I'll just do a quick cursory disease scan as well, just while I'm here. So
nice, perfect, just the guy we need. And what we'll do as well is we'll mark the queen. We're going to catch her, we're going to mark her, and we'll talk about the special type of marker that you should use on your queen, but also why it's not necessarily important to choose any colour you want to mark her with. There is a reason why you choose a specific colour, so we'll cover that as well. So anyway, let's suit up, let's get stuck in.
is this the first super or the second one, the newest one you've added?
Yeah, this is the original one. I'll put the new one down here.
Because you've got manly frames, eh?
Yeah. So you're going to get 8 in there.
45 mil frames.
Yeah. So yeah, when I put the other super on, I just did a bit of a swap around.
Yeah, that was a good idea. This is looking really healthy.
It's crazy health.
Heavy,
insanely heavy they are, yeah.
And that, you can see in the top there, is good, clear clover. Like when you harvest that, that'll be almost see-through. You'll be able to read through it.
Yeah. I did try it, but brought a teaspoon.
Yeah.
And it was real nice, eh?
You can see that in the video. You see when they hang like that?
Yeah.
That's actually what they do. They hang in here. When they start to build comb between frames and stuff like that, it's one of the things they do.
Right.
So if you're looking at like wild hives, or you start getting comb between your frames and all that kind of stuff with the bees, that's what they do. They'll hang together and start building the wax between each other, which is how they get their like wild wax and stuff. They get it.
Gotcha. Yeah, because some of the frames have got quite wonky stuff between them, eh? So
yeah, which will eventually sort itself out when you do extract it and you cut the caps off. You cut it all back.
Yep.
And so like your next season it will be a little bit better.
The other thing though, right, because these particular frames are quite wide and I can only get 8 in here,
Yeah.
is that a little bit of the reason why they're building their comb like that, because there is that extra space in there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I haven't had to buy any of these 3/4 depth frames yet, so these are the ones I acquired.
No, these are good frames though, and they're manly frames. The only thing is if you try to put that through any sort of commercial equipment,
Yeah.
some uncappers struggle with the extra width in the frame.
Yeah.
But if you're just sort of low volume operation and doing it all by hand, you'll have no problems. And manly
Yep.
frames are a great option because you just get extra honey and stuff in them. So it's all
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
I don't even know how they got called manly frames, but they did. This is good. Have a look at this. So when did you put this one in?
Oh, this would have been yesterday when I...
Yeah, look
Swap
at all
them out.
that extra wax.
Yeah,
And that you can see that they're already filling.
yeah, working super quick, eh?
Yeah. So when there's a good nectar flow,
Which there is. I mean, I don't know if it's common for every beehive, but these bees in particular are super quick at working.
yeah. I think the fastest I've ever seen, I caught a swarm the other day, and swarms obviously they've filled themselves up, they're looking for a new place, they're expecting that they're making new combs, so they're already sort of in the process of a lot of that. I ended up not having any drawn out frames, so I put 4 of foundation and I put a frame of come around this side actually. Frame of brood and 4 frames of wax foundation.
Yep.
I went back and saw them a little over a week later. They'd drawn the whole lot out.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it didn't take them long to fill out the super either.
They keen as for it.
Yeah. Can you always train them not to build comb wonky? Or is
Oh,
it just more about where you put the frames and...
Nah, it's you can't really train them not to do
Yeah.
it. No, it's just
It's just managing it, right?
part and parcel of it. Exactly. You just get rid of the bad stuff.
So I notice they tend to wake up a lot more when you get closer to the brood chamber.
Oh yeah.
They're not so bothered when you're going through the honey, but I guess they're quite protective of their little ones, right?
Yeah, and the queen and the hive and that kind of stuff. And they're just busy at the moment, though. They're not actually, no, they're not angry. You've got 3 or 4 frames of brood that they've got to try and keep warm, and then you've got 9
Yeah,
frames.
that's it.
You know,
Almost
Just-
felt like, I mean, because every time you add a new box, it does weaken the hive to a degree, right?
yes and no. The thing about adding a brood box is that when the queen lays in the cells, they will be more inclined to finish the cells. So this is a fantastic looking frame. So it wouldn't necessarily have been a bad thing either, because they would have worked pretty hard to fill it out. I think the other thing to consider is that there's still probably a couple months of the season, and it really does depend who you talk to. Some farmers have said it's sort of a late clover season. I'd heard that from someone. I think obviously out here where we are at the moment, it's been pretty consistent. Started early December. This is a fantastic frame, by the way, so I'm just going to make sure the queen's not
I suppose at the end of the day, right, every beekeeper's got different methods, you know, so that you do you, right?
Yeah, and so like I said, there's pros and cons. With adding an extra super, we make the decision of if they don't fill it, we can take it off, or if they do fill it but the rest of the hive's not super strong, you could leave it on as feed, or you could take it off and there's still heaps of stores in here for them to look after themselves, so we get through the winter, it's all good.
Yep.
With the brood box, you're kind of like, yeah, I might get more bees, better chance of getting through the winter, but then you've also got space to feed them and stuff.
Yep.
It's kind of, I don't necessarily think either one's a wrong decision. So here's a good, reasonable sort of a brood pattern. You can see how many eggs she's sort of laid on one day, and all the cells sort of consistent colour, consistent texture. There's sort of one sunken cell over here, but if there's any chance that's simply because of when we pulled the frame out. But quick take off the cap and we've got, you know, healthy looking brood underneath it, so
Yep.
it's not brown or rotting, so no concerns with any of that. It's looking pretty healthy at the moment.
Little bee butt sticking out.
Yeah.
Noticed a couple of wasps hanging around, lately.
Yeah.
Only 1 or 2, but they'll fight them off, eh?
Yeah, they will. Wasps are, I guess, scourge of society, and especially in the bee world. Like, they just look after themselves, really. So
They're just pricks, mate. That's what they are.
So they just want a free feed and hanging around the hive, even if they just sort of slip in, slip out, get some honey and sod off, they're happy. But
Yeah.
it's common in the spring that you'll see a lot of queen wasps around, and they'll try to start building their nests under lids or on the sides of boxes and stuff like that. So they can often try to hang out near bees.
Okay, so I've always maintained that I will share all my mistakes on this channel, and I'm going to put my hand up and say right now that earlier, before this particular episode was filmed, I actually took the second brood box off and added another super, and the other brood box I'd already started working on. But when I'd done that, I think I may have stacked the super and the brood together in some way, and the queens transferred over. And and what we're seeing here, Ash, is basically brood in the super.
Yeah. So not the end of the world. She's over in that corner closest to you there. She's just here.
Oh, yeah, there she is, yeah.
So we did a lot of hunting in the brood box. Double checked everyone's work. Couldn't find anything. And didn't see any evidence that we would cursory look through the honey super either. So she definitely hadn't been there very long.
Yeah.
Not the end of the world, and also not really a huge problem. Well, there she is. She's just hanging out on the side here.
Yeah.
Because ultimately what she's done as well is kept the bees up, and by laying in the cells, she also encourages them to draw it out. So
Yeah. So yeah, what we're finding here is that some of the newer frames that I've added into the second super are the ones where she's laid, because the other ones are already pretty full of honey. Yeah, so the top box is looking okay, isn't it? So that's full of honey.
yeah, that one was absolutely dripping.
The top box is the original one, so I moved the new one down. So as I've spoken about in many of the episodes, it's time to mark her. And there is a specific marking colour you have to give her depending on what year she was born, so we'll discuss that shortly.
Yeah. She's kind of...
So she's in there. A couple of workers in there as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think I kind of missed
A
her.
little bit of marking on her.
I think I got her on the back there. Could probably... There we go. Not my best job, but she's got paint on her.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Should make her a lot easier to spot. So they're non-toxic markers, right?
Yeah, so these ones I bought from Ecrutique directly, which they appear to have gotten from Japan.
Posca markers, yep.
Yep. So Mitsubishi make them apparently, and yep. So to answer your question about the, actually, if you just keep watching her there, she's looking in that cell. She's might already be an egg in it. She's looking for a cell to lay in. So when she puts her head in like that, she's going, oh, is it empty, or can I lay in it? And then when she does, she'll curl her legs over, curl her back up, stick her butt in, and go for gold.
Right, having a look.
Yeah. She's desperate for some space to
Yeah.
to lay in. So
as I said, that one's on me, so we're going to move it back down to the brood box at the bottom, where there's bound to be a bit of space now, because I'm sure some of the brood has hatched over the last while. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah,
you might have missed it. She's already in.
she's gone in.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, so the queen is marked. She's green, and we'll explain in a minute why the colours are important. All right, mate. So quick wrap on the hive. From your point of view, looking pretty healthy.
Yep. Yep. Now the queen's in the right space. So
Yeah. So as I said, I put my hands up and admit that when I took the second brood box off that I put on, because I changed my mind, I must have put them too close together. I had a feeling the queen must have gone over there, and it's exactly where she was. So just to clarify then, so because she's been laying in the honey super on the newer frames, they'll hatch out, and then now that she's back where she's supposed to be in the brood box, then the bees will start filling out those empty cells of honey again, right?
yep. So it's not a big deal that she's laid in the honey super. In fact, it's probably arguably can be used as a good thing. It encourages the bees up. Any of the cells that she lays in, they're going to be in a rush to finish, so that they can go. They're nice, they're neat, they're uniform, and they're a good depth out. It sort of stops some of that burr comb forming, so that's all good. And then they'll hatch out, and then it'll just be nice, good comb for honey. She's back down the bottom, so they'll move any cells that hatched and they've filled with honey. They'll move that honey up into the honey super and basically sort them around. They'll make space below for her to lay, put the honey back up above, and she'll just start going to town. So the only difference is some of the comb in the top box might now be a bit darker because it's had a bit more bee traffic over it.
Yeah, gotcha. Oh, there we go. Some of my mistakes been fixed. The queen is now marked. She's a green colour. How exactly do the colours work? Because you can't just choose any one. Here's a bit of a rundown for you.
Queen colour markings. If you mark your queen with a white dot, she hatched in the years ending 1 or 6. A yellow dot, years ending 2 or 7. A red dot, years ending 3 or 8. A green dot, years ending 4 or 9. And a blue dot, years ending 5 or 0. Some beekeepers find it easier to remember the order of the colours by using the first letter of each colour and turning it into an acronym of Will You Raise Good Bees? Another one I like is Workers Yield Rich Golden Beeswax. And this is my favourite, we yield remarkably good beehives.
So 2024, last year, was when the queen was born, which is why she's green.
Yep, that's right. So I made the nuke in, I think it was October. And they made the queen cell and she hatched out in October and got mated. So she's a spring 24 queen. So that's why we went with green. I'll have to buy a blue pen now for anything else I make today, which hopefully we've got some time to go and do. So
next episode we're going to follow Ash and go and do some things on his hives, make up some nukes. And replace a queen, I suppose. Is that the way to say it?
Well, we'll have a look when we get there. But I've pretty much made up my mind. It was a swarm that I caught, so she's an older queen. I don't know how old, but she's got a very spotty brood pattern. My concern is that moving through the autumn and through the winter, coming into spring, how viable she'll be in the spring. Either she's not going to be great, won't be a strong start for the season, or even worse, she's getting less and less fertile. And could be starting next season with a drone layer, which there's options, things to consider. So we'll have a look and make an assessment. If her brood pattern hasn't improved, it might just be easier to do it now. We've got sun, summer, nectar. Get a new queen going, finish the season strong, and then start the next one too.
Yeah, we've had a funny old summer in New Zealand, so it's been a little bit touchy, but today's not too bad. The last couple of days haven't been either, but there has been a bit of rain, which of course stops them from going out and doing their thing. Anyway, so thank you very much for joining us. We'll have Ash again on the next episode and look at some of the things he's up to, and thanks for joining us. Be good.